time to go behind the story, featuring the leading voice on one of today's top topics. And today we want to kick off the program by welcoming in Dr. Fred Hoffman from Mercyhurst University, of course, a national security expert, having spent over 30 years, correct, in the military.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you being here, sir. And as this ongoing war continues with Ukraine and Russia, I think the simple question really is, Doctor, where do we stand today?
Well, it depends on who "we" is.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is, where you sit determines how you stand, right? So it looks very different for the Ukrainians and very different for the Russians, and we on the outside looking at it from both perspectives, it really depends on what camp you're in, right? So for example, for the Ukrainians, this is an existential struggle. As the Ukrainians like to say, if the Russians put down their weapons, the war ends. If we put down our weapons, Ukraine ends, right? So that's kind of their perspective, and they're fighting an existential battle. So,
where do you think President Trump is right now? We know obviously you had that phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. What should the president's involvement be, you think, Doctor?
Well, that's a perfect example of what I was just laying out, because Trump is coming in saying, I want to end the war, right? The problem is, I think that he's doing himself a disservice by not going to Ukraine and seeing what the situation is, but he's chosen not to do that. Some of his other folks, senior people in the administration, have gone over and have met with Zelensky and other members of the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people. But I think when you're there and you see, for example, civilian residential areas being targeted, the nature of the conflict, all right? On the one hand, for Ukrainians, it's like, hey, you got to help us out to end this thing, but we want to get our land back. But once again, from the Trump administration perspective, is we just want to end the fighting, end the killing, and the madness.
Do you think that the United States should give a little bit more weaponry or maybe assistance, I think is a better way to put it, to Ukraine?
Well, I think the administration position coming in was to try to be even-handed, to try to tamp down the Russian paranoia about, the entire West is against us, right? Well, the West has been against you since 1949 when NATO was established, and the reason being is because of Russian behavior toward their neighbors, right? So once again, it's a matter of where you sit and how things look to you.
Where do you think moving forward then, Doctor, this war goes?
It's really hard to say. I think that if you look at the recent events, what the Ukrainians have shown is their ingenuity, the fact that, hey, we're not out of this yet. And, they're fighting an autocracy, okay? And when they struck 4 different Russian airfields and took out basically a third of their strategic bomber fleet, that hurt. They also hit the Kerch Bridge, a country that no longer has a navy, right? All the Ukrainian surface ships, they don't exist anymore. But they've managed to sink the Moskva, they've managed to hit the Kerch Bridge again. So they're showing that they're still in this fight.
Just finally, Doctor, real quickly here, what do you think we should make of it for us here in Erie? How do we bring this locally? What should we know? What's the most important thing?
Well, no, I'm older than dirt, but I'm not that old that I can remember 1940. But think back to World War II when it was raging in Europe. It started in Europe. First is September 1939. We didn't get involved till after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor 2 years later, right, 1941. But the bottom line was we had a strong sentiment in the U.S. Stay out of it. It's a European problem. Wars like this generally don't stay contained. If you look at history, that's kind of the way things go.
Yeah. Older than dirt. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there you go.
Young as the day is, my friend. Thank you so much, Doctor. We appreciate it.